All right, I am going to go over the answer key to the second assignment with the absolute value equations. So I didn't leave much room here, but A is pretty straightforward. Remember, you take off the absolute value first and you put a plus minus in front of the other side. So you have two answers. This means 8 and -8. Second one, now you have to be a little careful though, because before you just automatically take off the absolute value, you have to look at the other side. And if it's negative, it's going to be no solution because you can't get a negative coming out of an absolute value. And let me see if I can find the highlighter real quick. Okay, so that one. On number 2, okay, we've got a positive here, so we're good. Step 1, take off the absolute value and put a plus minus on the other side. That stands for 5.4 and -5.4, which means I have two equations here. So I'm going to branch in two different directions, my positive direction and a negative direction. Now, when you branch off, this part of the equation never changes. Don't change any signs here, unless it's a keep, change. That's fine. That doesn't really mean you're changing anything. It's this number that's going to be different in the two equations. So x plus 3.2 equals positive 5.4, because it's the positive branch. Then x plus 3.2 equals negative 5.4, because it's the negative branch. To solve it, I need to cancel out the 3.2 because my goal is to get x alone. I have to add the opposite sign number to it because that is going to make it go to 0. But whatever you do to the left side, you have to do the same thing to the right side because an equation is a balance. It's like a scale, one of those scales where you have the two sides, and you can't take 3.2 grams away from one side and take a different amount from the other side and have it still be equal. Okay, so that's going to cancel. X equals, now I'm adding, you're always adding going down, but I have two different sign numbers, so that really means I'm going to subtract. So 5.4, what I'm doing is just 5.4 minus 3.2, right? Because that's the bigger number, 2. So it's just going to be a 2.2, taking the sign of the bigger number. So that's one answer. On this side, I also have to add a negative 3.2 because I still want to cancel this. I still have to do the same thing to the other side, cancel, and I get x equaling. Now I'm adding two different, or two numbers with the same sign. They're both negatives, so I just need to add them and keep the sign. So negative 8.6 is the other. All right, now I didn't leave much room for my check, but let's see, I guess I can squeeze it in here. 2.2 plus 3.2, I'm just putting my answer in the original equation. That should equal 5.4. This is the absolute value of 5.4. Does that equal 5.4? Yes, it does, because the absolute value makes whatever's inside come out positive. So that answer checks out. Now I'm putting a negative 8.6 plus 3.2 inside the original equation. And here, because the signs are different, I need to subtract 8.6 minus 3.2. Okay, that is, it's going to be a negative 5.4 in the inside. But because the absolute value, it's still going to be positive 5 point, oops, why did I write 5? Positive 5.4. Okay, so we check. All right, so answer. These are complicated. These have a lot of steps. So you just have to keep practicing. Okay, number 3. Now you can keep change here. I'm not truly changing the sign because plus, negative, and minus are the same thing. Step 1, take off the absolute value. Put a plus minus on the other side. Now I got to branch in 2 directions. Positive branch, negative branch. X plus negative 7.7, I didn't change anything here, equals 2.4, right? That number is going to change. It's this number that will be different on both sides. The negative branch, x plus negative 7.7 equals negative 2.4. Okay, now to make this negative 7.7 go to 0, see, I'm trying to get x alone. I have to add the opposite sign number to it. So I'm going to add a positive 7.7 to both sides. That's going to cancel, and x equals 11, 10.1. And on this side, I also need to add a positive 7.7 because that'll add to 0. Do the same to the other side. Cancel. X equals. Now here I have 2 different sign numbers and I'm adding. That means I need to subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. When you subtract, I'm ignoring that sign and just subtracting them like they were regular numbers. I'm just putting the big one on the top. 3, 5, and then take the sign of the bigger number, which is positive. So I get 5.3. Okay, so 2 answers. And my check, 10.1 plus negative 7.7, this is kind of sloppy, sorry, equals 2.4. 10.1 and a negative 7.7, subtracting 10, 9, 4, get a 2.4 positive. And the absolute value of 2.4 is 2.4. So the left and the right side of the equation equal each other. That means the solution, that answer worked. Okay, plugging in 5.3 plus negative 7.7 equals negative. Oh no, I'm sorry. Sorry. This is the original equation, positive 2.4. Now here, that's going to equal a negative 2.4. But because of the absolute value, it's going to come out to be positive 2.4. So the left and the right sides equal each other. And voila.